Welcome back to Military Mondays. Your host, John Reeves, with you here every Monday night. Me and Dan Lehman, two former Marines, helping you every day, every single way. Our mission, educate, empower, and engage you as veterans, military members, friends, family members, and supporters of the U.S. military. This is 1170 KCBQ. You're listening to Military Mondays. With me in here. In studio with me, I've got Richard Marks. He is the founder and president of the RDM Management Group. It's a fantastic organization that does a lot of stuff to help veterans. He's in all kinds of veterans serving organizations. Just a great American to have on. He is a former member of the U.S. Army. He has done his time, and he is now out there in the workforce doing all kinds of great stuff for our military members who serve just like he did. So, Richard, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to have you here.
Great. Thank you for having me this morning.
So I got to tell you, Richard, we get everyone's bio here before they come in, and this guy has grandkids, and he looks like he is maybe 35 years old. But most in shape looking grandpa I've ever seen in my life. So
thank you very much.
I need to eat whatever you're eating, man, because you're doing it right. So
thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Good genes.
No doubt. So, Richard, you have basically founded and you preside over a company called the RDM Management Group, which teaches sales skills and you really focus a lot of your skill training on military members, because a lot of them, one of the things they don't learn in the military is sales. Unless you've been a recruiter, you don't learn how to sell anything. And one of the biggest challenges of getting a job when you get out is selling yourself to a potential hiring party in HR.
Well, let's back up for a second. Everything in life is sales, right? I mean, whether you're selling your soccer coach on putting you in the game as opposed to somebody else to start, whether you're trying to get a girlfriend, everything is sales.
That's a great point, Dan.
Everything is sales.
Great point. And there's no formal sales training for most of our members in the military, unless you're a recruiter. Then that's
the best sales job in the world.
That's the toughest. I'll tell you that. So Richard is doing that now, but we're going to touch on RDM in a few minutes. We're going to first talk about him and his journey to RDM, which started at the U.S. Army. So let's talk about that. Why the U.S. Army? Why'd you join? Tell us about it.
Well, very interesting. I fathered early in life and married early as well. And the military was a solution for me to provide for my family.
Okay.
And so I really appreciate that. And there were multiple services in which I could join, obviously. And the Army, they said, "Hey, Richard, we will take you now." So
where'd you get recruited out?
Yeah,
of?
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Wow.
Show me state. He's a Missourian. That's incredible.
Yes, it's about 150 miles southeast of St. Louis, Missouri. And so that's where I joined the U.S. Army. I did my basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Yeah.
And did my schooling AIT at Fort Lee, Virginia. And my very first duty assignment was Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Yeah, what your job was? Infantry?
Petroleum supply.
Petroleum supply?
Yes, infantry unit, but it was petroleum supply. Yeah, so we were refueling aircrafts and vehicles. And so when we do our joint exercises, et cetera, our job was to make sure that those vehicles had fuel.
And then how long did you spend in the Army?
Just shy of 4 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. 4 years. And then you transitioned out. Like everyone in the military gets out one day.
Yes.
Everybody, whether you do 35 years, 40 years, or you do 4, you're going to get out one day. So you got out and you decided to make a choice.
Yes.
And you went for the sales, I'd say the bucket. You went into sales. You decided, I'm going to go try my hat at, and it wasn't trying, but I'm going to give sales a go.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. You chose that career. Why was it sales, and what did you do?
Really interesting. My friends and family, encouraged me to stay in the military because there wasn't very many jobs. And, at that time I wasn't college educated. Richard, you need to stay in the military, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And they would tell me that I had
So Rich, let's back up. When did you get out? What was the year?
1987.
87, okay.
Yes, March of 87. And my grandmother, my mom, dad said, "Richard, what are you going to do?" And but I knew that I wanted to do something in terms of working with people. The reason I got into sales, my friends and colleagues and family would say, "Hey, you have this gift of gab." Well, like, what is the gift of gab? What is that? And basically, my interpretation is really understanding and communicating well with people. And one of the careers that offer that is sales.
Sure.
But unfortunately, my very first sales job, which was working for a car dealership in Nashville, Tennessee, wasn't a very positive experience. And unfortunately, it's a very similar experience that I hear out there with folks that's entering sales for the very first time. And so can you imagine it's a Monday morning, the sales manager are bringing us all into this conference room, and his goal was to motivate us and really get us excited about joining this new car dealership.
Okay.
And this is what he tells us. He said, I want you to meet, greet, lie, and cheat. He said, I want you to rip their heads off, crap down their throat, do whatever you need to do, just sell the car.
Yeah.
And for that moment,
that sounds like my first job in mortgage, honestly, man. It was
horrible.
It was, they gave us, you ever see that movie Boiler Room?
Yes.
That was like our sales training, basically, to, is this nonsense,
Exactly.
screwing people over. It's terrible.
Exactly. And that didn't work well for me. I'm from the Midwest. We have Mars, well value. I represent, human beings, and that's not how we communicate. But that was also a deciding point for me in my career. Of course, I could hear my grandmother telling me, Richard, you should have stayed in the Army, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I stayed with that organization for about 30 days. It just wasn't the ideal organization.
Sometimes you just didn't have the right core values.
Exactly. Not at all whatsoever. And so, unfortunately, again, I did not understand, how important sales were.
Okay.
And that's what really, from that particular point and fast forward to where I am where I am now, 30 years later, it really allowed me to really put some principles together, some guidelines, integrity. And I've been doing this throughout my entire career, which is actually the birth and passion of RDM Management Group.
So, you moved out of car sales. You actually worked for some very top wireless companies, right? You worked for Cricket, which is local, I believe. They're right here out of San Diego.
Yes.
But you were in the wireless industry, something that, you don't, not necessarily you don't have to sell wireless, but wireless sells itself. So probably some better values there. But if I say, hey, buy this car, it just got repoed or something. I can see the different core values. And of course, Fortune 500 companies, they do things a little bit differently than.
Right.
What brought you to San Diego? Was it Cricket that brought you to San Diego?
Yes, I was an account manager working for Cricket in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
and
I'm from Houston, Texas.
Are
you talk
you
about
really?
hot weather, man. I was actually just in Houston last week. Whew.
Wow, Houston in the month of September is still hot.
Oh, unbelievably hot.
Yes, my wife is actually from Houston, Elisa, who's also a veteran as well.
Yeah.
But we stayed in Houston. We were there for about 10 years, and I was working for Cricket for half of that time. And there were a sales director opportunity here in San Diego. And they looked at my background, my experience, and they said, hey, you would be a great leader for us in San Diego. And they brought my family and I here to San Diego.
That's fantastic. So you did your time in the business world, and you said, you know what, it's time to do this on my own. Obviously, you decided at some point I'm going to jump off the salary ship and get into I want to run my own business. I want to pilot my own ship. I don't want to be a crew anymore. I want to be the captain.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's very interesting. Again, from my very first sales job where I was making commission only, you sort of kill what you eat, as we call it in the business sometimes. I was able to navigate myself into a very great salary job with commission and bonuses and stock options and all of that. And I took all of that, again, experience and started my own company. Primarily, one of the reasons is here in San Diego, especially, it's the military. A lot of the military folks, and me being a veteran as well, we are targeted by auto dealerships, insurance companies, mortgage, financial service, et cetera. And that's all fantastic. These are great opportunities and great industries for military to be in. Primarily, in my opinion, one is that we have the motivation, and that's intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. We have the self-discipline, and we have the emotional intelligence. And those are key three characteristics that make great salespeople. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of sales training out there to enter that from the military. And so that's why I started my company. I created a 32-course curriculum, which is based on my 30 plus years of experience to really springboard those individuals transitioning from the military into a career in sales.
Richard, sorry, go ahead.
It's difficult for me getting out is that there's such a emphasis on being marketable to an employer, in transitioning out. There wasn't a lot of talk about entrepreneurship. And that was always kind of a sore spot for me. And even in the kind of, you can even carry it over to like the academic system. And, you go to college and stuff, and the first thing they tell you is, okay, hey, come get this piece of paper so you can be more marketable to an employer, as opposed to learning the skills and learning the principles that, especially, transitioning military is what I'm talking about, to become an employer.
Yes. You're absolutely correct. Not a lot of out there. And so that's one of the things that the curriculum focused on. Really, initially, the process is broken up into 3 sections. And the first one is called Sales Foundation. And that's really focusing on you as an individual. What is it that you want to do? And I sort of call it the magic wand theory, if you will. If you had a magic wand, if you could wave it and do exactly what you want to do, what does that look like? And so for those of us in sales, I know what that looks like for me. And so I wanted to create a curriculum that will help bridge that gap and help individuals be successful in the arena of sales.
And how long has RDM been functioning now? How long
it will be 1 year next month.
Oh man, that's awesome.
October the 1st will be exactly 1 year.
And how many people trained so far?
Probably about 50 people thus far.
Well, you said you've been getting some great results though too, right? I mean, tell us about like one of the recent wireless companies that you worked with, and you said an increase in sales by 48%.
Yes, I was working my Cricket Wireless, and then we were purchased by AT&T. Absolutely. Yes, as a sales leader, I ran markets not only San Diego, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and again taking all of those experiences and applying them into practical experiences in life and in the business of sales.
I mean, I speaking on a guy who just got out. I mean, I say just 5 years ago, I got out. I had no sales experience whatsoever, and real estate is. I mean, looking back on, there's a lot of sales in real estate.
Everything is sales, man.
It is sales.
And you know what? I had no formal training. I knew how to help people. I knew how to take care of people and protect people, but I had no formal trails.
I feel like a lot of salespeople don't want to admit they're in sales. You know what I mean? It's like sales is a dirty word or something. It's got this negative connotation. I think sales is, sales drives everything, and it's the best industry you can be in.
Right.
You know, like I said, it's everything. And I tell my son, hey, girlfriend, you're selling yourself. You're showing that you're better than the other guy. You know what I mean? It's like, here are my traits that make you should buy into me. You know what I mean? Sales is everywhere.
It is.
And it's a beautiful thing.
And you're right, and a lot of people hide behind, different names, financial advisors. Exactly. The fact of the matter, you are selling, and it's okay. I embrace that terminology, but you're right, it does have a negative connotation to it. Most people think of used car salesman.
Yeah.
Well, that's one aspect of it, but you have to sell yourself every single day. If you don't, you're not accomplishing your goals.
Absolutely.
Well, I will tell you, that's one of the core things I know our military needs help with, our military members, because a lot of guys getting out can't sell themselves. So they have challenges in interviews. They don't do well with this. And a lot of my friends are corporate recruiters who help military, and they said that's the biggest shortfall that military members have, is that I don't know how to sell myself when I get out.
Well, I got in at 18. I said, hey, I want to go to the Marine Corps. And they're like, okay, there's no selling to it, right? And then you get out and you don't really know how to translate.
You don't have those skill sets.
You don't have the skill sets.
Yeah, because typically you're being told what to do. And now, of course, when you're transitioning out, you have to really highlight yourself. In the military, we really are not taught to really highlight our skills in that form of fashion. It's about mission. It's about sacrifice. So self is pushed to the corner.
Yep.
When you get out into the civilian world, you have to really be able to sell yourself. And,
I mean, even if you go to I have buddies who have interviewed to go to Harvard, who have gotten out of the military, and they just weren't good at speaking. So this guy probably, they got everything on paper there, but they didn't interview well for, the Harvard interviewing committee. He's like, man, we don't want this guy. And I guarantee it wasn't his resume. It was the way he spoke about himself.
Man, sales skills are so important, man.
Yes, and I tie sales skills into another buzzword that's happening right now, are soft skills, and that's being able to communicate and share and sell yourself effectively. Well, how do you do that? And you really have to have that self-confidence and not really worry about, coming to the radio show this morning, I was so excited, but I wasn't panicked about it. I wasn't scared. It's a great opportunity. And that's what sales is that every time you have an opportunity to talk to a new customer, a new prospect, it's an opportunity for you to share about what you do and how can you benefit them, but you have to listen. Well, you have to ask the right questions. The
funny thing about I shouldn't say funny, but in Dan and I's shoes and in yours, is what we do is change lives every single day. By teaching sales skills, you are teaching life skills. You are changing lives every single day. Falls right into what we do here at Military Mondays, which is educate, empower, and engage. And you educate and empower somebody with sales skills.
Yeah, and you've changed your life. And you alluded to it before when you had that bad experience at the car lot. When you really believe in kind of what you're doing, sales almost becomes an obligation, right? It becomes my obligation, because if I don't think I'm the best at what I do, then I'm gonna go do something else.
Absolutely. And so many people do, unfortunately. And that's okay as well. But similar to what you said, selling is about yourself, whether it's you want to take this young lady out for a date, if you want to get a promotion on a job, if you want to convince your wife to do X, Y, or Z, the fact of the matter is you're going to have to be able to articulate yourself effectively and share with them the benefits of that.
Yeah,
right.
If there's no benefits, and I also believe it has to be a win-win situation. If it's a win for me and loss for you, that's not a good deal. It's about relationships. It's about integrity. It's about building that solid foundation that's going to last for a while, not just a hit and miss.
Richard, I can't tell you how excited we have been to have you here on the show and talk about it. And I'm really, really honored that you took out your time on a Monday evening to come and speak with us about RDM and about what you've done and about your service time in the U.S. Army. And I would love to have you come back on our show. This has been a great opportunity for us. And thank you so much for helping us educate, empower, and engage.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Would love to come back. Thank you very much.
Awesome deal. Stick around, word from our sponsors, and then we've got our financial panel of the month coming up. Hang tight. We'll be right back with you.